I don't know if they, oh yeah, it works now. So we are a bit behind on schedule by 3 minutes, so I would like everyone that is outside, if they can listen to us, to join in. And I will be inviting Dominique and Dries on stage for your Q&A. I will also test the microphones. 2, 3, 3. I think that those guys deserve an applause, right?
Can we sit? Is someone coming here? Yeah, let's do it this way. All right.
Good morning.
So I don't think that they need any introduction, but in case, Dries is the founder of Drupal. So from 20 years, 25 years ago, we had a party lately. And you are the founder of Dropsolid, Dominique. You both represent the European market and the American market. You are both from Europe. And I do expect, and I've seen the questions, I have to say that I've seen some of the questions. They are quite intriguing. Are we ready to start?
Let's do it. I would actually say, like, if I may, while you look for questions maybe, but like Dominic and I, we have at least 3 things in common. All right. 1, we're both on the board of the Drupal Association, which is maybe useful context if you want to ask questions. We're both in the Drupal AI initiative as well. So if you want to ask questions about the AI initiative, you can. And then we're both Belgians. So if you want to ask questions about Belgium, you can too. We're also both parents. So we're also here for parental advice if you need any.
Well, the only thing I share with them is I'm also a parent. But let's go to things that are not related to parental advice from 3 males in the States from all around the world. So I'm going to start with what I assume is the nicest question to start with. What was your favorite type of coffee while being here? That goes to both of you.
Favorite type of coffee would be abatanado in Portugal.
Yeah,
it's called that.
But why
it's
being
like
here?
a slightly smaller Americano.
So I drink a lot of coffee. So while I was here, I've had a latte, a cappuccino, a regular black coffee, a frappe, and a flat white. And the frappe, is that how you pronounce it? Is definitely the most unique, I guess. So it was delicious.
Well, at least you tried iced coffee. You didn't. We
No,
need to do something about that. Then I'm moving on to the next one. And I will combine 2 questions, seeing them. if time travel were possible, what is one decision from the early days of Drupal you would do differently? And similar question. Technically, we have definitely gone off the Drupal island. Which other lessons have we learned from other open source or proprietary software that are invisible to the bigger audience? I think that they are related because the decisions.
So the first question was about time traveling. What would you do different related to Drupal? And then the second question was like, how can we learn from the other open source ecosystems?
Yeah, and proprietary software. I combined the two because the decisions that we made affect us. So if time travel were possible, we might have changed some decisions.
This is one of those really difficult questions where I think like you can never know, but I think the way it is exactly the way it should be right now. And I'm not just saying that just like this, but I think what we can do now matters more than going back in time. And where I see where we can now make the difference is that if we can bring Drupal to the market really tangible right now, and not like a horizontal platform with all the power it has, which is all true, I think we will really make the difference and really show why the underlying platform is so strong. So you might argue, going back in time, we could have done that earlier, just showing it by making it really tangible, by making use cases. But we can do it now, and I'm really happy that we've built a platform with all that power to make the use cases really show off.
I agree, and that's a very solid answer. I mean, we learn from our mistakes, but here we are now. Let's move. Dries?
I like your answer. It's good.
It goes good.
Yeah. But I would say, like, I mean, I think I've said this already, but like when I started Drupal 25 years ago, I kind of built it for myself. And I was a developer, and so for like in many ways, Drupal was built by a developer for other developers, really. And that was true for many years. People joined, and they were all developers, and then like after, whatever many years, we was like, oh, we should actually care more about end users as well. And so now we have this like very deep technical DNA by developers for developers, and now we need to kind of, like add new DNA, if you will, which is more about usability and accessibility and all that kind of stuff. And that's hard to kind of add on later. And we all know this. Jürgen's presentation, which was fantastic, by the way, talked about that as well. Like ECA maybe followed a little bit the same trajectory, built by Jürgen, a developer, maybe for other technical people, but like then the effort to make it more broadly usable, it's like not that easy in terms of effort, in terms of expertise that we have in the community, those kinds of things. So long story short, if I were able to go back in time, I would hope that I would think about the end user more earlier, so that it was just a part of how we worked, and so that we never had this thing where people say, well, Drupal is kind of hard to use for non-technical people. And the second thing I would add is like a little bit what Dominique was already referring to, is like how do we make sure marketing is not an afterthought? And that's also maybe my answer to your second question, like what can we learn from maybe proprietary competitors? It's like they have big marketing budgets, and like Drupal doesn't, obviously. For many, like we only hired our first marketers at the Drupal Association just a couple of years ago, so, and like our marketing budget is so tiny compared to some competitors. So, yeah. And like, sorry, like one more thing, like often I feel like Drupal is so good technically, like and I'm not recommending this, but like in a way, we could all put pencils down for 6 months and not do any technical work, and we would still be good, you know? And so like really the biggest thing that's missing is sort of the marketing and the sales materials, especially in times when the market is a little bit tough. Like we run circles, technically we run circles around, I think, our competitors. Like we're so much better technically, but we don't always tell that story, you know, so.
Well, that's a great pass for the second question, for the next question. What is the future of Drupal? Should we market it as an easy solution, positioning it as a competitor to WordPress by emphasizing Canvas, or position it as a robust solution for complex use cases by emphasizing the core? These questions are really big. It goes
Yeah.
to both of you, by the way.
So like for me, so the question is like, what's the future of Drupal and where should we focus, where should we play, and how should we position ourselves? Is that kind of the question? So I think right now, you know, Drupal is really strong sort of in I would call it the enterprise market and the higher end of the mid-market. And I think it's a very, very important market for Drupal, and we should not give that market up. I want to be really clear. It's important that we continue to focus on that market. However, what we're trying to do with Starshot or Drupal CMS is expand the market beyond sort of that, you know, that part of the market that we have a stronghold on. And we're trying to expand it in basically 2 ways. One, we're trying to come down market a little bit, make Drupal more accessible, sort of, you know, in the broader mid-market versus just the higher end of the mid-market, without, and this is important, without giving up the enterprise part of the market. And secondly, we're trying to expand sort of in another dimension, which is, you know, more in, like make it more attractive to these end users, and typically these are marketers or, you know, content creators, those kinds of personas. So, and the reason I think that's important is because it widens the top of the funnel, to use marketing terminology. It actually helps us get new people into Drupal. And I think that's also really important right now to get more adoption. You know, more adoption means more business for the Drupal agencies and those kinds of things. So like I guess it's a great question, because I feel like sometimes the goal of Drupal CMS or Starshot is a little bit misunderstood. People think our goal is to like basically become really interesting for like the low end of the market or like SMBs, but that's not the case. Like we don't want to give up the high end of the market, but we do want to expand it a little bit. We want to grow the pie, so to speak, of where organizations can get involved with Drupal.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think I totally agree with you, Dries, on this one. And here I think we have an opportunity, because the Drupal, the market that Drupal spans is vast. Like it can be used for an SMB website. It still can do that, and it can, you know, be used to build the biggest sites, even content management applications that are possible. So not a lot of systems can do that. But of course, if you sell yourselves as an everything platform, then nobody buys. So that's bad. So we shouldn't do that. But we can do a bit of asymmetric marketing, in that sense that Drupal has what I think also sub-brands. And that's the first time that happened was with the Drupal CMS, which allowed us to go a bit lower into the market, yeah? Because I think there's some really interesting market share for WordPress that we should own that. A lot of sites just got started on WordPress because it was easy, and then they got really complex. We used to have that with Drupal 7. I think we need that. Like, some customers just start small and then get really big. And if we can bring that to the market, to that market segment that starts small and grows big, that's a big chunk. Like, let's say that the top 10% of the WordPress market share, it could be our market share. And that's where Drupal CMS comes in. And then there's a second sub-brand, that started exactly 1 year ago. We started talking about, and that's Drupal AI. And I think with Drupal AI, we have a special opportunity because this is a sub-brand that really resonates well with the enterprise market, which is a very important market because AI content management projects, they're not being decided alone by the marketing department, like IT and compliance and procurement. They're very much involved. They're complex projects. The pipelines to do it, they're really complex. Like doing AI-driven development is like really a step up. And this community, I believe, has everything that it takes to make this, because it's just not easy to do projects with AI. Even though it's very powerful, it's not easy to do it. And if we see how we are doing it with Drupal AI and how early we were doing it and how deeply embedded it is and how well integrated AI is, it's just on another level than the other open source content management systems. So we got an opportunity to market that to the enterprise market. That's why we're also doing in Rotterdam the Drupal Enterprise AI Summit, which will be happening the day before on the 28th, the Monday. It's being organized by the AI Initiative, and we want to invite all the decision makers from these enterprises to show the business impact of Drupal AI. So use cases are going to be shared. So we're going to show off to the enterprise how powerful Drupal is in returning investment. And then on the other side, because we're here at the Dev Days, I think there's a huge opportunity for all the Drupal developers to embrace AI-powered development, because Drupal is just made for building with AI. All the structure gives the AI so much context. We can make the difference there and be very relevant in the next, the next 5 to 10 years. And then we have it all. So that's a bit what I mean with asymmetric. We have the mid-enterprise market and the high enterprise market with our different brands, and we expand our market share. So that's what I think the future of Drupal can be.
I think you answered the question that says what would be the most important challenge that we should look in the next 2 years, targeting towards that direction. And there are many questions coming. They are being aggregated by the Greek team, which I can't thank enough because it's a lot. I would like from both of you to tell me what do you think are the most important AI use cases for Drupal clients. And because this can take along, let's stick it to 2 use cases or maybe 3. What do you see as very, very smart people as the future for AI in websites in Drupal?
AI use cases in general for end users, or
for Drupal sites is the question, but feel free.
Yeah, it's hard to prioritize them. Let's see, if I think about maybe Acquia's customers, what they're trying to do, first of all, the interesting thing is, website budgets are maybe a little bit tight now, but every organization I talk to, they have some budget for AI, which is actually very interesting because, like, the Drupal AI initiative allows us to, talk to these customers and basically say, hey, here's something we can do. One thing that I've seen is, let's say brand compliance reviews. Imagine an organization with a large website, maybe thousands of pages, or imagine an organization with, 50 websites, maybe for one brand or multiple brands. Usually, those organizations, you have like brand guidelines. But when you have like so many pages and so many websites, and they're being edited by many people, it's very easy for things to kind of get off-brand. Whether it's visually or in sort of like the language that these pages use, that kind of stuff. So like one use case is, hey, give your brand guidelines to Drupal AI and we can do a complete audit across all of your digital properties, and then with the help of AI also fix them. So that's kind of a use case. And for large organizations, these can be large you know, projects, like, you know, in terms of work. So that's one. I don't know, maybe I'll bounce it back to you and then I'll give another one.
Yeah, so I would also think about then the customers of Dropsolid are a bit more on the mid-market level. So they're not the largest organizations on the planet, but what I see is that even much more simpler functionality is being asked, like just an AI search on the website. It sounds so simple, but like just a well-packaged search on the website as a use case, so people can find what they need based on the content of the website, and they don't have to call the organization. In most mid-sized organization, even if they only have like a couple of hundreds of employees there, is already a valid business case. Same thing like a co-pilot in the backend for service people to, you know, generate an answer based on the knowledge base in the website. Maybe the intranet could also be built on Drupal, maybe with some integrations, and just have a simple tool to answer an incoming questions. There's a business case. Then of course what Dries said, like we call it like a content factory, where you're using the context that's stored in the content management system. Do you know there's a product update, or there's like a brand update, or there's a policy update, and you roll it out on the content management system? Huge time savings. And then I think like the fourth one, this one's a bit more difficult and also requires other open source technologies, but like a personalization engine where the AI is capable of just delivering content on the fly, which is personalized, both in the website and in emails, which requires a bit of, you know, customer data management. But Drupal's perfect to then get the content and generate a personalized approach there together with the AI, even the segmentation. So I think those are the four, from simple to a bit more complex use cases, and if they really work well, like they are capable of taking that AI budget and bring it to your company, and you know, you do the AI project and you ship Drupal with it, so it's flipped around. So you get the budget for the AI to build a website with AI.
I mean, I think one that an easy one that I've seen, or relatively easy, is multilingual. Like a lot of customers that, you know, wherever their headquarters are in the US or maybe Belgium, doesn't really matter, but they try to sell in multiple markets in different regions with different languages. And like I would say in the past, it was sometimes hard for these organizations to expand. Let's say, I've seen so many, let's say they expand to Japan as an example, and then they were only able to translate maybe their top 10 pages to Japanese, and all the other pages were kind of in English still. And if you've ever been to Japan, it can be a real barrier, you know, like, and so I've seen a lot of organizations over the years that have sort of operate in multiple regions, but can't properly translate all of the content on their website to all of these languages, and so they're kind of in this like sort of, you know, semi-translated situation, and I think AI can help a lot with that too. And obviously you want to review the translations, but reviewing it is a lot easier than, you know, paying, you know, for a translator, as an example. So
I know that Drupal is strong in Japan, and maybe this would also help Drupal go to other markets that we are not very strong yet.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can use maybe some of that for our own marketing too. There's actually a lot of Drupal in Japan, but language barrier is an issue. You know, I've been to Japan like 4 or 5 times, and every time, like, you know, like even just like a year ago, I think it was, I went to like a meetup at night, and it was like 200 people, you know, like as many people as here. Just like one meetup in Tokyo. It's like amazing. But yeah, like not everybody speaks or is able to understand English or speak English. So same thing, I went to China once, and there was like a lot of people too, but like it's even worse, like for them to keep up with what's going on, because the language barrier is huge too for them. So it's interesting, and like I remember coming back from China, thinking like, hey, we just need to translate an existing book, like a really good Drupal book, to Chinese, and like I was like, oh, that's like maybe what, 3,000 euros, and it's like the best possible investment we could make, because there's like hundreds of people that would, you know, be able to understand more. So anyway, so it's a little side note, but like I think multilingual translations and yeah, I think it has a lot of interesting opportunities with AI.
We are going to stay in the AI subject, but I'm going to shift this to Drupal and core. And I have two questions here, which I will concatenate. There are many people in this room who are still wondering what is the official Drupal answer regarding AI usage in core, top 100 contrib, example, meta tag, pathauto, webform, and generic contrib modules. And I will continue with the second question, just a part of it. If the opposition adopts LLM code and we don't, aren't we about to face something similar to the Drupal 8 decline again?
So the question is like, what's the official policy? Or like, you know,
If you can give it, people will like.
That's a great question. I don't know if there's an official policy right now. Like, you know, all I can say is, well, there's a lot I can say, but you know, like my opinion is that we should like embrace AI responsibly, meaning we should, like people are using LLMs, like we can't stop them. So like, but we can ask people to disclose that they've used it, and then we also need to hold them accountable that whatever they submit that is sort of LLM generated, that they understand what they submit. And I've talked about this, I've written about this. You know, the thing is like, it's all moving so fast too. Like I would say, you know, 5 months ago, AI generated a lot of AI slop, really low quality stuff. And like today, it actually is a lot better. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect by any means, but just in the last 4 or 5 months, the quality of AI generated codes or security reviews has gone really dramatically up to the point like the security reports that we see, but also that other open source projects are seeing. They used to be like, whatever, 90% slop, and now it's like flipped, you know? It's like mostly high quality stuff, and with some slop still, but, so it's hard, you know, when things move so fast, it's a little bit hard to lock down a policy. So I think, you know, I'm a big fan of doing like controlled experiments, I guess, and like trying AI for different things. Does it work? Yes, no. If it doesn't work, let's stop doing it. Let's try something else. Like, I think there's a lot we can benefit from, but we also need to be careful and mindful because it does put a lot of burden. Like the things I worry about, I would say, is the burden on the maintainers. That's definitely top of mind for me because AI does create, like we have this in Drupal, we have this like many to few model. I think everybody knows this, but like everybody can contribute things and then few people have to review everything. It's like a funnel, and like, and you know, when there's a lot of AI slop, that's like disrespectful to these people. But imagine like in 4 months, the quality is high, right, which I think is likely to happen. Like now it actually creates a huge amount of legitimate review work. And so like, how do we solve for that? Like that's something that I worry about. I also worry about privilege, as an example. Like, you know, not everybody can afford like $100 or $200 Cloud Code Max subscription. And so like some people just can't afford AI. And so what does that mean? You know, like other people can buy these things and can contribute at this, you know, higher velocity and speed, and then other people can't. Like that's worrisome to me as well. So there is all kinds of things that I worry about, but I worry a lot less about the quality. You know, again, I'm not saying it's entirely solved, but like all of these things make it hard to lock down a policy, and so I think I'm kind of a fan of like being thoughtful, you know, and being a little flexible right now while all of these things are developing.
And Dries, how do you see like the contribution pipeline to the core evolve with AI,
And-
is it also going to be AI powered, or what do you see there?
I mean, like as an example, I can talk about myself, but like, you know, I haven't really contributed to core in like for many years, right? Like my role has evolved. You know, it's been more involved with setting the direction, defining strategies, like, you know, helping to bootstrap initiatives. Like, I mean, I've been very busy with Drupal, don't get me wrong, but like in many ways I shifted my own personal attention from writing code to doing a lot of other things. Like I literally, like in my Chicago keynote, I talked about how I wake up in the morning and I ask myself, what's the most important thing that I can do? And for many, many years, it was like never writing code. And I don't mean that in a diminishing way or anything, but just like in my role, you know, my time is often better spent unblocking things. Because when I unblock something, it can then help, you know, many people versus me individually writing code. And like writing code is my happy place. Like it's what I would love to do. And so anyway, in the last, you know, I came back from DrupalCon Chicago, which is only 4 weeks ago. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna help. I'm gonna like have a little bit more time. I evolved my role in Acquia like a year ago, and that finally kind of cleared up a bit. Took a while, but I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get involved with core development. And so like in the last month or so, I've been able to contribute, you know, to like 10 or so different issues, and some of them like super deeply technical, which has been super fun. And like, I'll be honest, because I had to relearn actually a lot of things in core. Like I've been paying attention to core, like I read all of the commits actually that go into core. And so let's say I've been working on 2 issues about the container, like the bootstrap process and the container that we bootstrap. And so like I knew about it, I'd read about it, but I'd never sort of lifted the hood and looked inside it. Like, so how does this thing actually work? And so I've been using AI to do that work, to cut to the chase. Like, one, to learn about how it works, because it's like you can read all the code and, you know, find your way through all of the code. I've done that for, you know, 20 plus years in my life. But you can also ask AI, and it's incredible, like it can guide you much faster. So like my ability to learn about very deeply technical things has just gone through the roof. And again, you don't have to believe everything that AI says, but it helps me learn faster. I still validate things. I still look at the code myself, but it immediately points me in the right direction. It can summarize things for me. So that's been awesome, you know?
That is awesome.
It's really awesome. Yeah. And then I've also been writing code and contributing. And, you know, like I've been contributing to some of the things I would say that are in the critical performance path, things that we've probably optimized by hand over many years, and a lot of people have looked at it, and I'm like, I mean, oh, let me see if I can make this a little bit faster. And like I was able to make things faster, you know, and that's a combination, I think, of not just relying on AI to do this, but like, you know, I'm a software engineer, like, you know, I'm a trained software engineer. I've been doing this for a long time, and as I said in my keynote after Jürgen's video, I think AI can amplify expertise. You know, and so AI really helped me get back into core and to help contribute to important issues in core, and I've had a blast doing it. And so I think AI can really help people get involved into Drupal, you know? And I think there's a lot more things we can do with AI. And so I've been bootstrapping like some of these ideas on the side, not in the core pipeline itself, but like you know, I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot maybe. But I created this thing called Drupal Digest. Some of you may have read about it on my blog, but it basically summarizes all of the key commits to core, Drupal CMS, the AI initiative, and Canvas. But then in just the last week or so, I added a new feature. I haven't blogged about it yet, but I can announce it here. So basically, I have an AI agent that I built, and it's monitoring all of the commits, right? And now for every commit, I ask the agent, you know, create a rector rule. Like if a change adds a new API or deprecates an API or makes an AI change, just create a rector rule. And if you don't know rector is a tool that allows you to, that automatically rewrites codes. Like you have one API foo that becomes bar, like historically people have to go in and manually change foo to bar. I mean, it's a simple example, but if you have a rector rule, you can basically say, turn foo into bar for me. And so just in the last week, I went from 0 rector rules to, I think, 75 or something rector rules. I mean, it's like, and like every Drupal developer in the world, for every Drupal site in the world can now use these rector rules to upgrade their sites. And so this is something that I kind of prototyped on the site. I encourage you to test it. If you find bugs in the rules, submit them to me, I'll fix them. But these are the kinds of things that could become part of the pipeline. You know, like imagine that that was part of Drupal.org, and you just create a rector rules, not just for the few projects that I follow with my AI tool, but for all of Contrib. And like all of a sudden, one of the hardest things in Drupal, which is upgrading websites, imagine the amount of time and cost that goes into upgrading these sites. Even with all the care that people put into managing deprecations and carefully writing change notices, like incredible work that the community does. Like a rector rule just takes that to the next level, you know? And anyway, so I think I wouldn't, that's what I mean with controlled experiments. Like I would encourage all of you to go use AI if you can, to think of ways we can improve our collaboration, how we innovate, what we do, and share your experience. If it was a bad experience, if it was a fail, that's also great to share, you know? Because like we can all learn from the failures, and then if it worked, make sure to share that as well, because then others can build upon it. So anyway, that's a long-winded answer. Yeah, hopefully you can tell. I'm excited to kind of contribute back to core, and I'm excited to think of these kind of maybe hopefully game-changing innovations, you know, and share them with all of you. So
Full circle.
full circle.
Well, how awesome is that? That a founder of an open source project starts coding again. How I don't know. Like this says something for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe some people in the contribution room can actually do review on your work.
I've been reviewing patches too, yeah. I've been jumping in and helping to review existing patches.
So there's your
and
chance,
finding
people.
bugs in them and that kind of stuff, yeah.
We don't have much time, so I'm gonna maybe have one question for each one of you. One for Dries, related to you, and one for Dominique, and I hope we are on time. You might not really gonna like this. With sovereignty becoming important, how should we feel for products like Site Studio that are locking open source projects to non-European vendors? Should we stand our ground? Should we stand our ground as a community?
Is that for me or for?
That's for you, I guess.
So I'm not sure I fully understood the question. So with digital sovereignty becoming important?
How should we as a community feel for products that are locking open source projects to American vendors? So I get it that if Drupal is installed in an American vendor or an American company, that doesn't make it easy for us to get it out of there and host it in Europe. Should we as a community stand our ground? That's the question. Should we maybe push in a direction that would get the ability to export it? I would add to the question.
Should we push in the direction of?
Being able to export that site from that server. I didn't write the question, I'm reading them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Site Studio,
Yep.
I see. Sorry, yeah.
How should we feel for products like Site Studio that are
Oh, okay, Site Studio. Sorry, I missed that. I apologize.
Well, my pronunciation, my accent
No,
is a bit
Greek.
Greek.
It's not you. So yeah, like Site Studio, like for those of you that don't know, it's basically it's like basically Drupal Canvas before we started Canvas, you know. So we actually so putting on my Acquia hat for a second, just for clarity. So like Acquia bought a company in the UK. It was called Cohesion, and they built this site builder for Drupal. And we bought it and we rebranded it to Acquia Site Studio, and something that a lot of our customers have been using, and it's really powerful. But like one of the things that always bugged us about it is that it wasn't open source, you know. And so then, like 18 months ago or so, we decided that we would basically invest heavily in Drupal Canvas. And so we put like 20 people on Drupal Canvas. And you know, are building Drupal Canvas completely open source and in the open. And then our goal is to migrate all of our customers from Site Studio to Drupal Canvas. Now, we're not able to do that yet because there's still some real gaps between Site Studio and Canvas. Like it's not, you know, on par in terms of features and functionality. There's a lot of features in Site Studio that do not exist yet in Canvas. But anyway, so that's a little bit of background, but like, you know, we're all in an open source and Drupal Canvas is like the first message I want to give you.
I think that this answer does deserve an applause, though. I mean,
Yeah.
a company switching back to open source and believing that
Yeah.
for something that wasn't open source in the best. So,
Yeah, it's,
guys.
yeah.
So
Well, thank you. I wasn't saying that to get an applause, but like, I do appreciate it because it costs a lot of money to build Drupal Canvas and a lot of time. And it's not just Acquia, of course. In the meantime, a lot of others are contributing to it as well. But anyway, to go back to the sovereignty question, right? So I'd like to put maybe Site Studio aside, but it's like basically a SaaS that is hosted by us. But like I said yesterday, I think digital sovereignty is so important. And it's why I got into open source in the first place. And we didn't call it digital sovereignty, and it's not identical. But like the open source freedoms are so important, you know. And it's now these open source freedoms that allow digital sovereignty. So it's just like super deep into every, you know, cell in my body, I would say, that I care about this kind of stuff. Of course, as a company, we have to balance that with making money. You know, like we also we invest millions of dollars a year in Drupal in terms of contributions, but we also need to make money so that we can do that. So it's like we have to balance these things. So digital sovereignty, I think, you know, for Acquia, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, to be honest. I think because Drupal is open source, I think it can be a good thing for us. And you know, I kind of hinted at this yesterday if you were in the session, but like I think the problem, like Drupal on, let's say, Azure or Drupal on AWS, I think is a completely, like I think it's actually more digitally sovereign than a proprietary CMS built in Europe, run on a European data center. Like, and I know it sounds like controversial, but like at least if you have Drupal running on AWS in a European, you know, AWS region, like you still have access to the code. You can see exactly what's happening. Like nobody can take Drupal away from you. Like, does the US government have access to your data? Yes. If that is a problem for you, okay, then move it, you know, like take your site and move it to another hosting provider that's truly digitally sovereign. I think it's still better than using proprietary European software on a sovereign European cloud. Because if that company goes bankrupt, you have nothing. If that company gets sold to an American company, you have nothing. Like you literally have less control, even if the software was built in Europe and run 100% on a European cloud. So I think it's kind of a complex situation. So, but because of that, I feel like, I don't know, I feel pretty good about Drupal. So like, I feel like if we do this right, digital sovereignty can be sort of the next tipping point for open source. And I think it's actually incredibly exciting, even though it's honestly a boring topic. Like, like I've been blogging about it, I've been trying to influence policymakers. I don't have a policy passion, but I do think it's just so important that policymakers get this right, that I feel like I'm going to spend some of my own time trying to read all of these policy documents and advocate for open source, you know? So, and I think it could be a wonderful thing for all of the digital agencies in Europe, like if we get this right too. So I'm just trying to help.
We're out of time, so I'm going to be very, very brief. And the question that I like to keep last is, when are we going to see a DrupalCon in East Europe? And I am adding, when are we going to see a DrupalCon in Athens?
I don't know.
You are both Europeans. We
I
can
can
make
tell you how it works. All right, so like Dominique and I were on the board of directors of the Drupal Association, but we don't actually decide on the locations. Like
Do you take bribes?
the staff of the Drupal Association decides, first of all. So you need to know that because you need to know who to ask. And so the way it usually happens is the local community, there is some kind of, mass, I guess. And they say, hey, we want to help organize a DrupalCon in Athens. So if you feel like you want a DrupalCon in Athens, you should probably get together, create like some kind of whatever group or committee, and draft like a proposal and send it to the Drupal Association staff, and it could happen. So, yeah, and that's true for every country. But the way we do these, like in Europe, as I think many of you know, we use an event organizing company called Quoni. And they're actually sort of the logistical arm to help make it happen. But they rely heavily on the local community to curate content and all the stuff. So they need to partner with people. And if you're interested in figuring that out, you can talk to Gabor, maybe Gabor. Like Gabor is kind of sort of very involved in all of the DrupalCons, especially the European ones, or Badi from 1x Internet. She's usually very involved. Maybe there's undeniably some other people as well, but there's a few gateways that you can use to pitch these ideas. Sorry, yeah.
I think that's a wrap. Thank you both for being here. Thank you both for answering those questions. And I really hope that you enjoy this conference and obviously Greece and Athens.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks for having us.
The group photo is happening outside now. I don't know if that now is like now because of the weather. Like now. Yeah.